Guys, welcome back to this channel. So in this video we'll be talking about the Tapasvi yoga. This is when in the chart we have three planets: Saturn, Ketu and Venus. Ketu is the southern node of the moon, and when these three planets are present in the chart, we are talking about the ascetic, because that is the meaning of the Tapasvi yoga. This is someone who is renounced, is performing strong physical sadhana for the spiritual results, and we will analyze that in the chart, especially in the Navamsha. Navamsha is additional chart. In Vedic Astrology we don't have only one chart. We have the Rashi, which is the main one, but we have also additional chart, and of this additional chart called Vargas, the Navamsha is most important. So I said the meaning of the Tapasvi is the great ascetic and the sage, and the Tapasvi yoga consists of three grahas. We need to have Saturn, Ketu and Venus. This yoga can be formed in the trikona placement, especially we are looking for this in the Navamsha, and this has to be in trikona, so 1st, 5th and 9th. These three houses are the trikona. So this has to be in trikona to Navamsha or to Karakamsha. Now, Karakamsha, what is that? It's the Atmakaraka in the Navamsha. And what is Atmakaraka? It's the planet with the highest degree. So we have to look for a planet with the highest degree in the Rasi chart first, and then we are taking this planet to the Navamsa chart. And if in the 1st, 5th or 9th from this planet, from this Atmakaraka, we find Venus, Saturn and Ketu, then we are saying that you have a Tapasvi yoga from Karakamsha. This is very much then connected to your soul, so it means very high chance that you are some form of Tapasvi. This is giving person who is a very strong sadhaka, person is dedicated to vows and is living in some form of austerity. These people like detox, these people like fasting, meditation retreats for like 2 weeks when they are meditating few hours a day and so on. And Venus joining this planet means that this Ojas is used in the spirituality. Now the Ojas is the essence of dhatu, and this is represented by the planet Shukra in the chart. This is the last formation of these dhatus as taught in the Ayurveda and the Charaka samhita or Sushruta samhita or Ashtavarga Hridaya, and these important texts for this Indian medicine. Rasayana part of the Ayurveda is into this, how to gather this Ojas and maintain it for a long time, as this is foundation of good health. We know that the kapha dosha is bringing the highest resources for the Ojas, and it comes from a celibacy, a specific diet, meditation and the sattvic lifestyle. Its location, placement and size is also taught in the Charaka samhita. Although this is not recognized by modern medicine, just like nadis or chakras, this is seemingly related as a more subtle form of reality. Now going back to the yoga, Shani and Ketu are giving the false type of sadhu or renunciation. We know that Venus gives this bhakti, dedication or perseverance, the Ketu is about the intuition, and Shani is about the hard work. If that is strong in Artha Kona, so Trikona to the 10th house, like 2, 6 and 10, then this is giving more the hard-working person. So this Venus and Ketu yoga, this is also called Tulsi yoga or Dikshita yoga. This can also sometimes gives very shocking experiences, and this is something that Tapasvi can stand. We also know that the Mangal can do the tremendous tapasya, and this is the power of Tritya Titi, the third Titi, which is also can bring the Ojas for the Urdhva way or for the spiritual upliftment. This tapasya or this austerity, this can bring person into some form of fire. So this fire is generated by this hard austerities, maybe also a lot of pitta. So to cool it down, the Tapasvis, the people who are very strongly involved in the tapasya, they are doing the Shiva Abhishek, which is the specific watering down the idol of Shiva with various articles. And also meditation is very much therefore central part of this Shiva sadhana to cool it down, because through this meditation, this fire, this pitta, this Tapasvi fire, we could say, is also going down. And now when it comes to houses, it is 9th, 10th and 11. In the 11th house, we have this tradition. So especially the Saturn 11 is bringing that power of the tradition. The 10th house is more about the power of your tapasya. So if you have fiery planets like Sun, Mars and Ketu in the 10th house, this is definitely blessing you with that ability, power to stand a lot, to go through a lot. This Ketu especially, this brings a very high stamina. The person can work a whole day and perform such a tapasya. Whilst also when it comes to, for example, Jataka Parijata says that the 9th house is about tapa, dhyana and also japa. So when we talk about the japa or mantra recitation, this is normally in 5th and the 9th, but the difference is that the 5th is more related to a bhakti, whilst in the 9th is more about that you are taking some kind of vow or obligation to perform some numbers of malas each day. So if you are doing that, then you are more activating the 9th house. Venus is needed for that because we know that Charaka was performing the tapasya for a long time under the Bhrigu Rishi guidance. So when it comes to the planets, we say that the Ketu is bringing the intuition and is also the removing the personal interest. The Venus is bringing that great Tapasvi, like the Shukracharya was hanging down for 16 years, that smoke, which is also represented by Ketu. And Saturn is the hard worker, and as we said before, is also bringing the patience. And as we can see, these three planets, Saturn, Ketu and Venus, if we study the 12th house, then all these three planets are related to 12. So these Charakas are very much related to the 12th house. And also when we see the 8th house, Ketu is lording the natural 8th house, the Scorpio, and Saturn is the Charaka. So this Tapasvi Yoga will definitely be related to that power of transformation, which is coming from the 8th house, and also power of renunciation and giving away and fasting and all that in the 12th house. So as you can see also in that video of the Mountaineer, which we were giving before, he also had in the Navamsha Venus and Ketu in the 5th house. So we see that these mountaineers, they are also very much introvert, also seeking that kind of silence, reflection and that spiritual insights. So these mountaineers and the spiritual people, they will be sharing this vibe of austerity yoga, which you can find in this Navamsha chart. So when the Saturn and Ketu, when they are joining, especially to the 7th house, they can also give this Bahustri yoga, which gives many relationships. But for this, we need to see the drishti or the aspect of Venus and Jupiter, because these two planets can totally cancel this yoga and they can bring this very favorable or auspicious Tapasvi yoga. So if you see Saturn and Ketu, always see if there is the drishti or aspect of Venus, which can transform this to this spirituality. So Saturn and Ketu is also giving this fake sannyasi, fake spiritualist, because there is no dedication, no bhakti, no feeling, which is coming from Venus. So Venus always is ruling that passion, dedication, love for something. Okay guys, if you like this video so far, please click the thumbs up. It helps me with the algorithm to make this video more visible on this platform. Subscribe because we are publishing such tutorials once, twice, sometimes thrice a week. And now let's go back to this video. Now we will be going through a few charts, but you can also see that in the Alan Leo chart. As you know, this is the godfather of modern astrology. So in his Navamsha chart we have Ketu, Venus and Saturn in the Navamsha Trikona. In many astrologers chart you will find this Ketu and Venus or Venus, Ketu, Saturn. These yogas will be somehow present. So the first chart, we don't have many information of the biography. We know that the Michel Poulien was a Catholic priest. He was ordained in 1966 and retired in 2012, and the demise was a year later in 2013. So in this chart we will look for this spiritual yoga. So in the Navamsha it's very easy. We have Venus, Ketu in the 1st house and Saturn in the 5th house. As we said, this yoga can be formed by the Trikona. So if we have 1st, 5th and 9th in Navamsha Lagna occupied by such planet, then this may be something with the person has ability for that. While it's connected to the Karakamsha, this is more about knowledge, this is more inner nature of the person. So whilst we are on the priest chart, we can also investigate how to see from the chart that the person didn't marry. And I have a few points here to mention. First, we have the Venus in 2nd house. So Venus in 2nd and 8th can promote such direction. From 7th Lord to Venus, we have also distance of 8 houses. From Atmakaraka, the 7th house will be in 6th. For Venus, the 6th house is very important because Venus in 6th is, this is the worst placement. This is the Maranakaraka. So when Venus is in 6th, this is not very nice placement. So when Venus is at Atmakaraka, the 6th from its placement is something the soul is rejecting. So here this is 7th house of relationship. Now we also have a 7th from Venus. This is Rahu here in this chart, so the other planet is Saturn. Rahu is with the Mars in 7th, so this is definitely blocking the doors to relationship and marriage. And this is especially the yoga Rahu Mars, this famous Kuja Stambhana yoga, when this fire is quenched by this air of Rahu. So this gives type of Stambhana. And the other planet is Saturn in 11th, which is also supporting more this traditional or austerity direction. In the further investigation, Lagna Lord in Navamsha in 8th house, 7th Lord in Navamsha in 6th house. 6th and 8th, Dushtana, they are definitely not supporting the marriage. Titi Lord, called Titesha or the water boy, is in Leo in 4th house, and this is Sun. So also the fire element and watery element, they are not supporting each other. So this point is also against. And the last would be Atmakaraka, which is in 8th house in the Navamsha. So whichever level we will start, all of these points are against the marriage. We have the chart of Valerie Andre. She was promoted to Inspector of General Medicine. And what is specific about her life and the chart is that she was the first woman to pilot a helicopter in that army zone. This is very important chart because I want to show you that this specific combination not always will give you the monks or spiritual people, but there can be many shades of this. One of them is that these people are very much dedicated. They can sacrifice their life for some cause. So this is definitely fitting here, this biography of Valerie Andre. And in her Navamsha, we will see that these 3 planets, Venus, Saturn, and Ketu, they are present in the Navamsha Trikona. The last chart which I want to share with you is Timothy Leary. He was into psychedelic drugs in that 16 era in the US. He was very much into psychology, especially when we talk about the rising the consciousness. So he was very much dedicated in how to rise the consciousness, and he was doing that with the help of drugs, LSD specifically. He was fired from the Harvard University because of that drug experiments, and once he was called by Nixon the most dangerous man in the America. And although he was arrested 29 times, for many people like Allen Ginsberg, he was a very inspiring person. His end was rather tragic. He had the prostate cancer. You can see that 8th Lord is in the Libra with the Sun and Rahu, so this is exact combination for this, especially in the 12th house of the mice in the Rasi chart. We will also notice that the Venus is in the 1st house in the Scorpio, especially the 7th Lord in Lagna can also give quite interest in that opening the door, the Dvara into spirituality. And here it is also aspected by the Ketu and in the sign of Ketu. So even in the Rasi chart, we already have this combination. And in the Navamsha, we have Ketu and Venus in the 9th house in the Leo and the Saturn in the Lagna in the Sagittarius. So we have the Saturn, Ketu and Venus yoga present in the Navamsa chart. We also see that 10th from Moon will be Ketu and Mars. So Ketu is with that Venus, which is showing more of this spiritual, this way of Tapasvi, way of revolutionary, and someone who is performing such spiritual insights, especially because it's in Leo in the Navamsha. But there is the other Lord, which is Mars, and this Mars is in the Cancer Navamsha, and this is bringing more such psychologist or human sociology, anthropology direction of his career life. So as you can see, we have 3 examples. One, we have this lady who was very much dedicated and sacrificing her life, very hardworking. So this is also part of Tapasvi. We have the Saturn, Ketu, Venus present in her Navamsa chart. She had that Atmakaraka in the Lagna, which was also showing some kind of higher calling for her mission. And this is the Moon, which is showing help for the people. She was all about this medicine, right? The Moon. And then we have also this 2 type of spiritualists. We have this Timothy Leary, who was more revolutionary type, more researcher, investigating. This is very much Scorpio ascendant, who is natural 8th house, about research, transformation, so on. So he was also blessed by the Saturn, Ketu and Venus yoga of Tapasvi. And we also have this chart of this Catholic priest with that Tapasvi yoga present in his Navamsha too, which is referring to that spiritual discipline. And we have also gone through these yogas of celibacy in his Rasi and Navamsa charts. So as you can see, the Tapasvi is someone who is using the physical discipline to rise the consciousness through Yama and Niyama. We also learned that the Saturn and Ketu can be a fake sannyasi. We need that bhakti, which is coming from Venus. Of course, we need some more spiritual combinations in the chart. And now let's go through some questions from the Instagram. First question is, can we see why one becomes more spiritual due to suffering, feeling empty or love? So very good indication would be Atmakaraka. Atmakaraka, because the Atmakaraka is showing from which point of your life the lessons are coming. If you have Venus or Atmakaraka in the 7th house, they will definitely come from the relationship. So the relationship can make you more spiritual, disappointments or some challenges, or even the spiritual partner. How we can study the brand of spirituality someone gravitates to. So Vimshamsa, Lagnesha will show what is making you more spiritual, but also the yogas in the Rashi, the Kendra, like for example, Swami Vivekananda was writing about 4 types of yogas. We have the Raja, we have the Karma, we have Bhakti and Jnana. So they are placed in this Kendra. Now the yogas in your chart, we can see 12 or Atmakaraka. For example, 4 and 7 is more related to Bhakti yoga. If you have some yogas there, you will gravitate more toward this type of yogas. Ladita is also asking, can we see when person becomes more spiritual? So definitely we need to find Atmakaraka in the Navamsha, 12 and Trikona to this planet. The periods of these planets, the dasha of these grahas in 12, 1, 5, 9 from Atmakaraka, which is the highest degree planet, will show in which periods you can become more spiritual. This is the time when the soul is directed towards spirituality. Now, what you can do in that period, you can then open the Vimshamsa and study exact the planet placement, and you will know what you are doing. Are you becoming into mantra, into sangha, into meditation, into pranayam? This can be seen by the Vimshamsa, because Vimshamsa, as Parashara says, is all about the upasana, which is the spiritual practice itself. Yogas showing spirituality as career from Dari Ma Frampton. Aruda Lagna related to Sun or Ketu. 10th Lord from Rashi in the Moksha Kona in Dashamsa, and Sun in 8 in Dashamsa very often is there for such people. How can Atmakaraka guide us to spirituality from Ikekudi? This is 12 from the Atmakaraka in the Navamsha, and 9 shows Ishta and Dharma Devata. So these 2 devatas are guiding us into more spiritual and more protection in this life, in samsara. This is more Dharma Devata. And also dispositor of Atmakaraka in the Rasi chart will show also, if it's in Dushtana, you are going, the prana are going out, so you are more into spirituality. How does spirituality change sexual experience? I would say spirituality will make you more sattvic. If you are living more sattvic, you are more open to spirituality. If you are doing some spiritual sadhana, you are getting more sattva, then you have more deep experience with the people around you, also with your partner. So you will have more intense, more deep experience with your partner, and this can also translate to more deep experience in your sexual life. What planetary placement shows person shouldn't get married for spiritual reasons? We already did that in that example of the priest. Rajasi Graha, Venus in Lagna, is it possible for native to be spiritual? We also did that in the example of Timothy Leary, so I intuitively found good examples, because as you have seen, the person was very interested into spirituality with that Venus in Scorpio in the ascendant. Chanting 108 times give more benefits than 27, 9 or 3 times. This depends on your chanting also. If you are doing this with pranayama, then Shiva Purana is saying that the effects are 1,000 times more. Also, if you are doing this slow and very much focused, then definitely 1 mala can be even more than 10 malas. So I wouldn't use such numbers to say what is more effective. And of course, we are using this mala as 108 in our tradition to get this number and to be able to count when you will get that siddhi, because if you are reciting like for 40 days the number of malas which corresponds to number of words in the mantra, then after 40 days you may expect some kinds of siddhi, they call it, some effects of the mantra. So we are using that 108. Can Tapasya yoga in divisional chart be considered in D10 more important than D1? Yes, but then it will translate to that specific Varga. For example, if it's in Dashamsa, then this may just show someone is very hardworking. Hello sir, which is prime planet affects spiritual interest in the chart? So we have the Sun, this is very important, 1st and 5th, because Sun is exalted in Aries and it's lording the Leo. So 1st and 5th are very important for the soul, for the Atma. Then we have the Saturn, Ketu, Venus. The Venus which shows the Bhakti. Ketu is the showing the whole Moksha Marga, so the whole direction of going into spirituality, and Saturn for that patient and hard work, which is also needed in that spiritual sadhana. Jupiter is very important for a deity worship and for the mantra japa. So if your Jupiter is afflicted, you may have problem with mantra recitation. You may be irregular in your mantras. So Jupiter is well placed. You have this big blessing because you can do the mantra very regularly, which will definitely increase your sadhana. One more thing, there was a question, what planetary placement shows person shouldn't get married for spiritual reasons? So there is also one thing you can check in Vimshamsa. If the Venus in 2nd and 8th, then it usually may show that the relationships are not very much favorable for your spiritual sadhana. So for example, they are indication that the partner is not very supportive of that. So that of course can manifest in various ways based on the rest of the chart, but this is also one way to check such incident in life. I have also a chart, shiny Ketu in Pisces in 7th house, Jupiter in 4th house. So this is very opposite yogas, because Saturn and Ketu in 7, as said, is kind of Bahustra yoga. This can give many relationships, and Jupiter in 4th, however, would make one very loyal, pure, chaste, and the Shuddhi, this purity, is very strong with Sattvic Grahas or Atmakaraka or exalted planets in the 4th house. So there we have some kind of conflict in the chart. Also biggest indication of moksha. So the moksha can be really seen in the punya chart, which is demise time chart. So because in the life we have a lot of free will, we have still 33% maximum of free will. Of course, there can be some potential. For example, in the Parashara, we have some indications when 12 from the Karakamsha is Ketu or related to the 12 or related to the Atmakaraka, then there are very high indications for moksha. Person can also go into that direction. But this final statement, if the person will get moksha, can be seen by the prashna maybe in the end of life of the person, but the guarantee is only the punya chakra, which is the chart of demise. So we have the chart of birth, which is the jataka chakra, but we have also the chart of demise, which is the punya chakra, and there we can see the yogas like 12th house related to Ketu and so on, to be able to see if the person will get moksha and what type of moksha. Is it through the above the lokas, above the satya loka? Is the person going to some form of above the pitta loka, or maybe this is going into the Shiva Loka or this Goloka Vrindavan? So what type of moksha is that? As there are also many types of moksha. We have a Kaivalya moksha. For some people this is higher as the personal moksha, when you can differentiate between the soul and the God, right? So this Advaitis will say that this Kevala Mukti is the highest, whilst the Dvaitis will say that Transcendental Lila in the Goloka Vrindavan, this is the highest type of moksha. Now we have this question, Saturn and Ketu combination. Some are spiritual, others not. So we were talking that also in this video. You have to see Venus, Jupiter, Drishti on this. So now you have the secret to know when it is favoring you. So if the sattva is there, you have this Venus connected, this bhakti is there. So it's definitely bringing that person into more spiritual consciousness, whilst without that, right, to 7th house and so on, can just make someone into this very high libido, and that's it. What's relationship between the moksha and spirituality? Depends how you define spirituality, right? The spirituality is seen from the sign Pisces. So we have these two signs of Jupiter, Sagittarius and Pisces. Sagittarius is bringing all these sadhanas, religion, yama, niyama, austerities, which is then bringing you into that spirituality, which is more about the freedom. So when you are transcending this individual consciousness and you are somehow blending into this higher consciousness, this can be impersonal or personal, depending on your school of thought or school of spirituality, but definitely that would be there. And this is the same as moksha. This is the same 12th house. We could define moksha as the end of that process, which is opening you to that pure spirituality. And before that, you can be striving for that. Some souls are lucky to be in that Jivan Mukti state, where they are still in that body and they are already free of the gunas. They are transcending the triguna and they are going into that through the sattva of freedom, but that is normally very rare. If you'd like me to help you analyze your chart, the spiritual yogas with the timings, what type of spirituality and what type of sadhana could help you in the rising of consciousness, and which timings are the best for both performance of sadhana and maybe also for diksha. We can also check the spiritual initiation times possibility. Then just hit me up with the email below and we can schedule the constellation for you. Okay guys, so that's gonna be it from me. I hope you find this video about Tapasvi yoga interesting and adding to your Jyotish arsenal. Please don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for more, and see you in the next one.